Hello, hello, hello. In today's episode of the podcast, we are going to be breaking down how exactly you should use Google Ads for your Shopify and e-commerce store. We're going to walk you through step-by-step ways how you can drive sales the right way without wasting your Google Ads budget. Today, I have Erno with me. He's the founder and owner of Optimal Click. He has extensive experience working with e-commerce store, particularly using Google Shopping ads to increase their sales as well as their average order value. So, Erno, you're the expert when it comes to Shopify and when it comes to e-commerce. Why exactly should a store owner even use Google Ads for their store, considering it can be very expensive?
Yeah, thanks for asking it, Femi. Google is the largest search engine in the world. So basically, it processes about 14 billion searches a day, and research shows that about 50% of the shoppers turns to Google when they want to discover a product. So it shows that how much demand is there in Google. And I think that's why Shopify store owners should consider uploading their products to Google and capture that demand that is there.
Yeah. So some people would think like, okay, you're right with Google ads, but if we look at the recent trends, you see TikTok ads. And one thing I've seen with TikTok ads and when it comes to shopping ads is it's easier because people actually have the product and they talk about the product, they show you the product. Sometimes they're even able to show you how to use the product and then it encourages click. But one thing, people are different. I haven't really shopped on TikTok. I've seen product on TikTok and then gone into Google or Amazon to look for the product. So just to add to your point about Google Ads, there's a level of trust that Google Ads give to merchants, Shopify and e-commerce store, because people coming to that website have a level of trust that okay, this is legit. I'm not saying TikTok Shop is not legit, but some people are highly risk averse and they might be a little bit concerned about TikTok ads, but it is picking up and companies are selling organically through TikTok shop and seeing good results. But again, it's still early days and it's an opportunity for people that are looking to also sell through social media platform. So we talked about search ads in the previous episodes and we also talked about shopping ads. So what exactly are the difference between these two and why is shopping ads better for e-commerce store?
So shopping ads are really visual. So basically, you will see a small image of the product you are
Yeah.
going to buy and with a short title, so what exactly the product called, the manufacturer as well, and also the price. So this combination is usually better for products because people immediately sees okay how it looks like, what's it called, and what's the price of the price of the product. And also sometimes there are little stars next to it, so like 500 people already bought this product and the average is 0.8 stars, so you will know that okay, well, this is a fairly trusted product. So this is one difference. And also when you searching for a product in Google notices, yeah, it's a product search. So it places the shopping ads on top of the search ads. So you probably already noticed it, but basically the visibility is much higher if you are selling a product compared to if you are running a search ad for your product.
So what you're saying in effect is the Google Shopping ads gives more visibility and in terms people can see the product visual. And it's funny that you mentioned that because even AI platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity and Claude as well as other AI platforms are offering products, but
Yeah.
it's a difficult one because they still don't know how to monetize it. What I'm trying to say is when people search for a particular product, then those AI tool will show them the product and then they will give them a list of where they can buy and then the list of the pricing as well. So to your point, Google Ads offer that visibility where people can actually just click on the Google Ads, shopping ads, and then go straight to the product page and they're able to make that purchase. So, what does an e-commerce store, someone just starting e-commerce, what is the process of setting up their Google ads, shopping ads in particular? What do they really need, in your opinion, at the top level? Like a business owner wants to set up Google shopping ads, what are the things they should be thinking about when working with an agency?
Yeah, so actually doing the setup in Shopify is really, really easy.
Okay.
So obviously you already have a Shopify store, so you don't need to. So you're done with that. You need a Google Ads account. You go to Google Ads and register a new account. And once you have this account, you also need to go to Merchant Center and register a Merchant Center account. Basically, these three things you need to start your Google Ads for your Shopify store.
Yep.
So then you need to go to Shopify and install the Google and YouTube channel app, which basically handles most of the things for you. So by that mean the tracking will be solved, and the same happens with the feed as well. So I think we haven't talked about it, but so for Google to be able to show your product accurately, by mean the image that you want to be there, the price that you want to be there, the title that you want to be there, Google needs a feed at the moment. It might changes in a couple of years, and Google just with AI just read your page, scrape everything and use that. But at the moment, you still need to create a feed.
So just to clarify, what you're saying is when someone is starting an e-commerce store, obviously you have your Shopify or whatever platform you're using as your CMS to sell your products. You have that one. And then the next thing you need to set up a Google Ads account. And once you set that Google Ads account up, then you need a Google Merchant Center as well, where
Yeah.
you then upload all the information, and then your Google Merchant Center would then connect with your Google Ads, and then that's how you then start creating. You then use that to create your shopping ads. Is that along the lines of what you're saying? So there are two types of approaches for an e-commerce store to use Google Ads. You have the option of your standard Google Ads shopping, and then you have Performance Max. We mentioned in the previous episodes of the podcast that Performance Max is where you give more control to Google, and Google then shows your products across search ads, across shopping, across all interfaces that Google works with, and you don't have control over that. And in some instances, it can even continue to remarket to existing customers. And then you have the standard shopping. So for someone just starting an e-commerce store, what would you recommend they start with? And when should they consider Performance Max, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, I would start with Performance Max. So at the moment, for many reasons, but obviously the standard shopping campaigns can be configured really well, but
Okay.
it's also really easy to break. So if you don't have helping hand, a consultant, an agency or a freelancer, I would start with the Performance Max and see how it performs. Give it a little try, give it a little go, few weeks, and go from there. The standard shopping can be configured really, really well. There are like special configurations like the waterfall principle or query sculpting, but these requires lots of expertise to set up. So I would vouch for Performance Max. And when you start a campaign, also, well, you won't have too much data in. So Performance Max performs really well when it has data to work with. So as a starter campaign, I would recommend you to set up the Performance Max campaign to focus on add to cart event. Not even targeting sales for start, just focus on getting people to add the product to the cart, and this creates a signal for Performance Max. So Performance Max learns, okay, these are the kind of people that put the product into the shopping cart. So this is kind of like the audience we need. And once you have enough add to cart, like around 90-ish or something, you can try to focus on adding the real purchase as
Yeah.
a
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is Performance Max gives you that ease when you set it up. You don't have to
yeah.
look over it too much. Whereas when it comes to the standard shopping ads, if you don't have the expertise and you don't have that time to manually monitor and optimize it, Performance Max works better. So, in terms of setting up the budgets for shopping or Performance Max, how should an e-commerce store approach the
Mm.
Google Ads budgeting?
Yeah, well, it's obviously different from every region and country. If we are talking about the US, I wouldn't start less than 3 to 5,000 per month budget.
Okay.
If you have less, then you can try with smaller areas or regions. For example, instead of targeting the whole US, just target one state or few states.
Yeah.
Or some other regions, just larger cities in an area or something like that, or even smaller rural areas. So it's depending on the product you are selling. To be honest, in other regions of the world, obviously you need slightly lower budget.
Yeah.
But again, determining the budget, you kind of like need to think a little bit backwards that, okay, my product costs 250. I need to sell one product for about $150 to get to break even or near break even. That's what you should kind of like aim for the first few months. Okay, so 150, we need around 30 conversions per month for Performance Max to perform well. So I need around 4,500 per month budget to
Yeah.
be able to achieve it.
So basically, what Erno is saying is when you're looking at your Google Ads budget for e-commerce, you need to first start with, okay, what exactly is the cost in total? How much does one click cost for the product you're trying to sell? And then you also calculate all your other overhead costs, and then you try and calculate the margins. How much do you need to sell to break even? And then how much do you need to sell to then have your profits margin? So it's just looking at those final details, your Google ad costs as well as other associated costs. You need to add them up together and understand that, okay, are you making profits or are you losing money? So when we talk about bidding strategies, now that you have a budget, you mentioned, Erno, that people should look at least 3 to 5K budgets a month as a starting point. And also you mentioned that they need 30 conversions from Performance Max to then start seeing data and seeing those trends. But when it comes to the bidding strategies, what are the bidding strategies available specifically for e-commerce Shopify stores owners?
And so if you go with the Performance Max option, the bidding strategies will be related to maximize your conversion value, all your target ROAS, so return on ad spend. There is no manual kind of like bidding strategy for Performance Max. So if you go with the standard shopping campaign, you can set up even a manual CPC campaign, which probably won't really work well, to be honest, because there are a lot of other levers that you need to set up for standard shopping. But even for standard shopping, there is an option to do the bidding automatically.
Okay.
So there is options like target CPA, so target cost per acquisition, or target ROAS or maximize conversion value. All those automated bidding strategies are available for standard shopping as well.
Okay. Okay. So, in terms of the automated bidding versus the manual bidding, what do you recommend? And because if you visualize it, a store that has like 30 products is not really big. If you compare
Yeah.
it to a store that has like 100,000 products,
Mm.
so how do you go about the automated bidding? Because automated bidding, sometimes people will be afraid that it might go crazy and just spend all the money. And
Yeah.
then the manual bidding, they're also mindful that they don't have enough people and enough time to manually optimize those bids. So what do you recommend, automated bid or manual bid for Shopify store owners?
So yeah, well, obviously, if we are talking about hundreds of thousands of products, or even just a few thousands of products, when you start your Google campaigns, I would recommend to start with a smaller subset of the product. So the top selling 50, the top selling 100, because if you place all that many products in your Google Shopping campaign, yeah, the data will be segmented into too many segments. It won't really help Google. If you start your campaign on a small product set, so 30, 40, you even have the availability to kind of like fine tune the titles, to fine tune the product images, because what we also noticed is, well, not just we, others as well. So since the products are really visual in the Google Shopping, obviously image of the product that you uploaded does make a difference. So there can be even 30-40% difference in click-through rate if you have the right image uploaded to a product.
Yeah. So I heard about a brand that went into liquidation around the COVID period because the demographic that was buying their products changed, because it was clothing brand and people during COVID didn't shop as much for clothes and things like that. And this brand was targeting more senior, older people, 45 and above. So with Google Shopping ads, is there a way that you can target demographic or location targeting? And does that really work in your opinion? Say, for example, a global company that is selling different types of clothing in certain regions where the weather is very cold. Obviously, they're going to sell different clothing. In a hotter region in the UK where it rains a lot and all that. So how do you kind of target those in Google Shopping ads? Is that something that is possible?
So targeting demographics wasn't possible for a quite long time with the shopping ads.
Okay.
That was basically the only type of campaign where you couldn't really change the way how you approach different
Demographics.
demographics, and now finally it's available for Performance Max. Well, the way it's available is that you can exclude demographics from your Performance Max targeting. So you can't really tweak it. Google will tweak it for you. So Google will understand the differences and tweak the bidding for you for the demographics. But if you want to exclude certain demographics because if you think they won't perform well, you can just do that. Regarding the location targeting, it's very it's very good. Like every other shopping campaign, you can even target a smaller region, just a zip code, for example.
Yeah.
So you don't need to target the whole US. We have a lot of companies that, for example, having a hard time shipping to Alaska or Hawaii, so they are just not targeting that region, and that's completely fine.
Yeah. So when it comes to the product page, obviously we know that Google Shopping ads, the goal is to get people to see the shopping ads, click on it, and land on the product page. So in your opinion, what makes a good product title and description for shopping ads? The reason why I'm asking is some brands and some products have their name that is unique to the product that doesn't necessarily have a description of the product. A good example is Birkin. I cannot afford it. I'm sure you cannot afford it. Birkin. People that know the brand know that Birkin is a bag, but people that don't know the brand would not know what that means. But when you type Birkin into Google, it gives you the shopping ad straight away. And then you see the names of the products, some of them don't even have the word bag in them. So how does that work? And what do you recommend when it comes to a good product title and description, especially for shopping ads?
Okay, so Google, so in at least the top area where Google shows the shopping ads, Google won't show the description. So kind of like the description is a bit irrelevant in terms of the people won't see it if they
Yeah.
go into if not the so the regular shopping part of Google, not the part which is on top of the on top of the search and the search result page, but the regular way that's when they can see the description. But regarding the title, so basically Google are really, really smart and they know what the product is. So actually it maintains kind of like an in-house product. How should I say that? Kind of like product description. So it requires you to upload the UPC code or the coded GTNI number.
Yeah.
So when you search for a product, Google knows that, okay, well, this is this product exactly based on the barcode. So it uses its algorithm to show you the best possible product for that search. The title is mostly for kind of like a little bit capturing the little bit stand out, but also it's a good idea to put your best performing keywords in the title as well. So in your case that you just show that you are not because they are not including bag in their title. However, luxury events work slightly differently.
Yeah.
So I think when you do that search, you are exactly know what you are
What you're
searching,
looking
and
for.
they don't need to they
Yeah.
don't need to be ranked for other terms, I guess.
So thank you. So what you're saying basically is on the merchant center, the information you have in those merchant centers, we can Google it helps Google understand what people are searching for. So
Yeah.
based on those knowledge and those machine learning and AI stuff that Google has, they will be able to match that keyword with the product that you're looking for. So we mentioned about the shopping ads being very visible high up within Google search when people type for a product. So, how important then is the image and then the images for the product? Because if you have, for example, one product that is distributed across different sellers and just one image, what do you recommend for the people that are reselling that product? How do you recommend the images to kind of help them get better click through rate? What's the role of images with the click through
Yeah.
rate
So
optimization?
first of all, Google is really, really strict with the images. So there are quite strict policies. So you can't just place your product with a pink background and hoping it will stand out across the all products. So it needs to be in a white background. It needs to feature the product. You cannot add promotions over it, so you cannot add the badge that 50% off or free shipping. So no annoying stuff, which is really, really great. However, yeah, if you are selling the same product that many other people sells and you have the same image that others have, then how can you stand out? So, well, actually, ChatGPT has a pretty good image generator function nowadays. So you can just create at the moment a lifestyle image from kind of like any kind of
AI.
any kind of product, and it will be a bit more to stand out. Also, you can, there is always an option for you to shoot your own image and showcase the product somewhat differently than others are showcasing it.
Cool. So we mentioned about conversions in previous episodes, especially with B2B and lead generation, the conversion is different. For e-commerce store, how do you set up conversion specifically for Shopify? Like you don't need to go into the technical details, but what are the steps that people should look at making sure that they set up the right conversion so they're tracking the right thing?
Well, actually, you don't need to be really technical. So if you are using Shopify, as I mentioned, if you install the channel app will solve the tracking for you. However, it can be improved.
Yeah.
So the tracking is really, really tricky. And we made some measurements, and I'd like to introduce the term server-side tagging here.
Okay.
It's not for anyone who is just starting their own shop, because the costs and the complexity of the setup, which is not too complex nowadays, but it's still a bit more complex, because so the integrated built-in function of tracking is really good for like almost everyone who is starting their own store.
Yeah.
And about, I would say, 70% of the sellers are okay. However, that loses a lot of transactions because of browsers. For example, Safari is really, really strict and deletes the cookies, and also some other browsers are a bit more restrictive. So that said, with the built-in tracking, you lose about 20% of the conversions, so you can't
So
really track.
so what you're saying is, if the conversion tracking is done like the not normal, if it's done through like Google Tag Manager by the default setting,
Default settings. Yeah,
so you're saying there's a possibility that the data might not be 100% accurate, but if it's done using server-side tagging,
tagging.
that is
Yeah.
better. Is that what you're saying
Yes.
then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I can 100% sure say that there won't be 100% accurate data tracking. But there are levels. And the worst possible is when you import the conversion from GA4 into Google Ads.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, I want everyone to not do that option. The slightly better is that the integration, the built-in integration. But if you really, really want to understand, if you really want to track everyone, then you should go with something like Stape.io or Analyzify, which are server-side tagging options, which capture about an extra 15% or 20% of the conversions on top of the built-in tracking.
Yeah. So how do you then explain situations where the conversion in Google Ads is different to the conversion in the Google Analytics, and it's also different to the conversion in the back end?
Because those systems are different, and Google Ads just only sees the Google Ads part. So
Okay.
analytics sees everything else, and that's why the difference is coming from, because it will never be the same, because Google Ads only sees its part and analytics sees everything else.
Okay, so they're not really talking to each other as much as we want them to. So, in terms of the metrics, so after people have set up conversions on Google Ads, we all know that businesses are not just about conversions, because people sometimes will buy a product online on your e-commerce store and they will just buy more than they need. They might buy like three different colors of the same size, and then they try it on and then return two. But your e-commerce will show those conversions. So, what exactly are the other metrics that e-commerce stores should kind of focus on, in your opinion?
Well, so if we want to start with, okay, what an e-commerce store should focus on, well, I would say profit. So look, that's what people why create a store on their own, because they want profit from it. Obviously, it's kind of like the hardest metric to track in a way for an e-commerce store. So you have these kind of like interim metrics, software metrics that helps you to understand
Yeah,
how your marketing machine is working.
yeah,
So, for example, we sometimes use MER, so marketing efficiency ratio, which is basically, well, this is my own marketing spending, this is my own revenue, divide the revenue with the marketing spend, and we see, okay, well, or MER is 2.4 or MER is 4 point something. So it gives an overall idea that how everything else is working, I would say. And there are a bit short-sighted, I would say, metric like ROAS or target CPA or everything else, which is good on the surface, but can be really misleading because what we saw with many accounts. So, for example, you start a campaign, Performance Max is starting to bring in traffic, and yeah, at some point we notice, okay, well, 80% of the searches, 70% of the searches were coming from like brand terms. So obviously the ROAS is brilliant because Performance Max captures all the brand terms and a little bit of non-brand core traffic and presents it to, well, I've got a nice 8-point ROAS. So that's another trap, and another trap here is that a lot of brands we work with, for example, supplements. So the immediate ROAS is a supplement brand is less of a focus, I would say, and their focus is more to get a new customer purchase something because they know, okay, well, yeah, a new customers means us $450, $800 lifetime value. So focusing on just ROAS says, yeah, you have like 1.0 ROAS, so it's a bad campaign. But if all the if all the conversions from that bad campaign are coming from new customers, then okay, they will spend 450, 800 in the next year. So if you compare it with an 8 ROAS brand campaign, which probably most of the conversions would have happened anyway without the help of Performance Max, which campaign is better for the business,
So one thing that I notice when it comes to Google Ads and Google Shopping Ads for e-commerce is campaign management and Google Ads management. Sometimes you find situations where people are just changing things consistently, as you mentioned in previous episodes, where it then becomes a problem because you're not even letting the account gather enough information before you then look at the insights and then make changes. So how often should people look at the campaign performance and how do they know what things are not working? What should they be focusing on from a Google Shopping Ads perspective for e-commerce?
Yeah. Well, tricky question again. So, for example, we have a client, B2B e-commerce, and basically from the first touch point till the actual sales, usually there are 14 days difference.
14.
14 days, so about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So if I bring a click to them today, 2 weeks from now, there will be a sale. And it's really hard to work with with this client for that reason, but we are smart, so we solved it. People start the campaign, it runs 5-7 days. No conversion, no sales happen. They pause the campaign, and then the next few days some conversion starts to coming in, because this is how people work. They won't just buy the product for the first visit. So therefore, that's why I told you need to give around 2-3 months for a campaign to see how it's going. So once you set up your campaign, you wait about a week, and if it's not really performing well, do not do any large changes. Try to make smaller adjustments, I would say. So for example, change the target ROAS slightly higher, where you started from, or slightly give a little less budget to it, or even give a little more budget to it to make it available to gather more traffic, so build up the conversion data faster. What you really want to avoid is that making, especially if you're running Performance Max, is that you are making changes kind of like larger than 20% too frequently, or you are creating asset groups, deleting asset groups like weekly. So that's what Google really hates. So I would suggest to set up the asset groups properly at the first, give it a few weeks. If it's not performing, make small tweaks on it. Don't delete it and redo it, because you will trigger the relearning and basically you just end up where you were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So if a business or an e-commerce store, Shopify store, or any mid-sized e-commerce store is having problems with their Google shopping ads, and they were to come to you and like, oh no, we're not getting the results we want. We have a decent or significant budget for Google ads, but we're not getting conversions, we're not getting sales, we're getting a lot of returns, or some of them can even say they're getting suspended by the Google merchants is getting suspended. How do you help these clients when they come to you that, okay, we want to leave our current agency and come to Erno to help us improve the performance and the conversions and the sale of a Shopify or e-commerce store? When they come to me, I help them with landing page optimization, making sure that they get organic traffic, making sure that they show up in AI overview and things like that. But when they come to you from a Google Ads perspective, what exactly is the process you go through for new clients that are really needing your help to kind of improve the performance of their Google Ads, shopping ads for their Shopify store?
Yeah, well, we always start in an audit. So we need to see what's going on the account. So we need access to the Google Ads account, Google Analytics account, sometimes even the Merchant Center account to do the audit. And we have a quite huge list of what we are checking in every account. So we are going through those checkpoints and see if they are enabled in the account or disabled in the account, or why exactly the account is not performing as expected. We always find something, to be honest, in every account. Either the feed, usually the feed is an issue because people just use the default feed, which is fine for start, but
So, for people that don't know, what exactly do you mean by feed?
well, the product feed that you upload into the Google Merchant Center, which kind of like the parameters, the description, the title, the image of your product.
Yeah.
So with all the information, it's usually short, so there can be additional parameters added so Google would understand the product.
And how long does the Google Ads audit take? How long does it normally take for when you get a new
About a week, I would
okay, a week?
say. So yeah, we are pretty fast.
Yeah. And then what's the next step? Say they've come to you, they've decided to move their Google Ads account to your agency. You've done the Google Ads shopping audit for 1 week. Then what's the next step?
Well, the next step is client questionnaire. So we need to learn about the product. We need to learn about their ideal clients that they are targeting, how it looks like, what their lifetime value is. Interestingly, a lot of businesses just don't know what their lifetime value is. So we usually start with, okay, then let's try to figure out what their lifetime value is.
So for those that don't know what lifetime value means, can you just elaborate on what you mean by lifetime value? Um, from a plain perspective, I always encourage customers and businesses to focus on repeat purchase. I use email marketing to help them get more customers to repurchase, not using Google Ads because it's a little bit expensive to use Google Ads to bring new repeat customer. So what exactly is that lifetime value you're talking about?
Yeah, so the lifetime value is that how much one customer spends in your store their lifetime. So during basically infinite time while they are with you. And there are, as you mentioned, obviously it can be extended. So if your lifetime value is just $500, then with email marketing, nurturing, it's really easy to bring it up to 6, 7, or even 800. And that's the beauty of it. You don't need to spend too much money on it to acquire a new customer, but you can re-engage your old customers. But for the Google Ads perspective, for some type of businesses, especially supplements or FMCG,
Yeah.
we need to know what their lifetime value is, because usually those kind of businesses are not making too much money or even not making any money on the first purchase, but during the period of the next few months, that's when they start making money on the customer that Google or Facebook brought in.
Nice, nice. So if you're a Shopify e-commerce, or if you use WooCommerce or other e-commerce platform, and you need help with your Google ads to make sure that you're getting that return on investment on your Google ads and you're not wasting your Google ads budget, reach out to Erno. He'll be able to onboard you, do an audit of your Google Ads account, look at your Google Ads Merchant Center, look at even your landing pages and all the things to make sure that you're getting the best results. My name is Femi Olajiga. I'm also a growth marketing consultant. If you need help with search engine optimization, landing page optimization, conversion rate optimization, reach out to both of us. We're going to leave the contact details in the show notes below. And in the next episode of the podcast, we're going to be going into more details about how you can get the best out of your Google Ads campaign. We're going to show you real life practical examples that will help you grow further. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks, bye.